this from the Time Warner Cable Studios. It's been too long since we've heard that music loudly, as a matter of fact. And joining us in the studio from Fox Sports Wisconsin is Brian Anderson. B.A., welcome.
Great to be here, man. Your new digs.
Yep, first time you've been here.
Unpack the boxes.
Yep.
What a crowd that's gathered outside here.
Yeah,
310
right.
West Wisconsin. Hey, look at this crowd!
Takes you back to doing double A baseball back in the day, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Nothing like a Tuesday night
Well,
in Wichita.
You never know who's going to walk by the palatial studios here, because joining us, in addition to B.A., for a real quick visit, the Prince of Darkness himself, Tom Haudricourt from the Journal-Sentinel. Tom, welcome.
You guys probably didn't realize that during the off season, I make some money by being BA's chauffeur. I drove him over here.
He did. He said he's here to pick up his check. I didn't know this was a paying gig. So.
And you know what? I didn't know that they still had any gremlins on the road.
We try to keep that whole pay thing quiet. People to come out of the goodness of their heart. Well, B.A., how's your off season going?
It's going great. Been busy. I've done some work, actually, believe it or not. This off season, I've done some basketball, and we did go to Texas. We spent a couple of weeks down there for Christmas and New Year's, so that was great to get back with some family, and played a lot of golf in Texas in December, which is always a good thing. Got to dust off the club, so it's been really good. Had a lot of fun reconnecting with my family and some of my neighbors who I never see during the baseball season. Didn't even know some of them had moved in, as a matter of fact. So it's good to kind of do normal stuff for the 5 months I'm off.
And you're ready to dive back to it. If we're not mistaken, it's like a month from today that it's going to be pitchers and catchers.
Yeah,
right?
the 22nd is.
No, or a month from tomorrow. It's crazy.
That's the official day. I saw Brad Fisher and Doug Melvin on Monday. We were in Madison, so those guys I think are heading down on the 17th. So it's cranking up for them a little earlier, and then players officially will have to be there. As Tom knows, since my time with the Brewers, pretty much everybody shows up early, which is unheard of with most major league clubs.
There's no Manny Ramirez. You might get the occasional visa problem, but there's nobody that just stylishly shows up the last day that they could show up, right?
Or no Ricky Henderson. So remember, Ricky Henderson used to come on the day of mandatory report, which is like 10 days in, and he would say, "I'm early, I'm early."
I was supposed to be here at 3. I'm here at 1.
Exactly.
Absolutely, that's classic. Well, the Brewers made some news. They had Tom working yesterday with the Doug Davis signing, and we were joking. That means that B.A. gets to work longer every 5th day. You know you'll be working longer because Doug tends to pitch some longer games. But he also, as we talked about earlier in the show, will give you some innings and some quality starts, and that is exactly what the Brewers needed. We'll start with you, Tom. I mean, this is one of the guys that are out there in the Brewers' price range. He might have been the best guy there. You can make a case that he's the best guy out there.
Yeah, especially in terms of innings. You know, and I know I've seen a lot of Doug Davis bashing, like on my blog, because they say you're beating this innings thing to death. You know, he had a losing record, blah blah blah. But BA, was out there with me every day. I mean, Ken Maka threw so many hooks in the water, he might as well have been fishing,
Right.
And Doug Davis did. I was looking at Washburn's stats because a lot of people were saying he's the better guy, and I looked and he hasn't pitched 200 innings in many years. And I'm certainly not knocking Jared Washburn. I think he's a good pitcher, but the Brewers last year, they actually went through 2 bullpens last year. They had to go buy another bullpen in the second half because, they blew out the first one because they just didn't get any innings out of their starters.
And the bigger picture, for me, the big picture here is that Doug Davis wanted to be here. He wanted to be a Brewer. He had plenty of opportunities to go elsewhere, and I think that's a good sign for this organization right now. Free agents want to be here, no matter what the class of free agent you think you're dealing with. But in order to get through a season, it's such a grind. I mean, it's 162 games. You got to have somebody who's going to take the ball and who's going to take the ball past the 5th inning. And Doug Davis is that guy. I think he instantly makes Giovanni Gallardo better because Giovanni Gallardo, it seemed like every time his turn in the rotation came up, he's looking at it saying, I got to go 9 because the bullpen is gassed. And pretty much every time he pitched, the bullpen was gassed because of what was going on in front of him with the injuries to Suppan and Bush and really the lack of productivity from Suppan and some others. It's just one of those deals where you have to give a guy some innings, and Doug Davis is a great guy to give innings. He's proven that he can be that guy, and you need him, that kind of guy at the back of the rotation. Now Gallardo doesn't feel like he's got to finish every game.
One of the things Dan and I have talked about, the flip side of this, you don't need a bunch of Cy Young winners if you have an offense like you think the
Exactly.
Brewers offense is going to produce. With Braun and Fielder, Dan and I talk about this a lot. If you get a quality start from your starter, you're in pretty good shape to win a ball game
No
because you
question.
think you're going to score some runs. I like my chances if the game's within even a run or two and Prince Fielder and Ryan Braun are batting in the 8th and 9th inning, I have a chance to win that game.
Well, another thing that goes with it, I think, you won't see Trevor Hoffman sitting idle for a month at a time. I mean, there was a long stretch where he wasn't really used in an important situation.
That is, yeah, that's.
And I like the bullpen the way it's set up. You've got some power down there, and Doug Davis in the rotation gives you an option perhaps of a Manny Parra in the bullpen. Obviously Manny, if he pitches well, he's going to be in the starting rotation. But I've always liked Manny in the bullpen. I mean, the year the Brewers went to the playoffs, I thought he was great out of the bullpen. He's a power lefty. He joins Coffey as a power right-hander. LaTroy Hawkins still has good velocity, and you kind of lead it up to Hoffman. Obviously, everybody knows what he is, but I like the power factor in that bullpen, and that's really where games are won and lost. I mean, the way the Brewers score runs, the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th innings, those are obviously the key innings because the Brewers are going to be in just about every game with their offense, and they're one of the few teams in baseball that can win with their offense. So if you can just get okay pitching, you're going to be okay. They almost broke 500 last year. They won 80 ball games and had the worst pitching staff in the National League. So that just gives you an idea of how good they are offensively.
That tells you right there. We're talking to Brian Anderson from Fox Sports Wisconsin. Tom Haudricourt from the Journal-Sentinel also joins us. Tom's got the meter running on his parking meter outside. Going to have to run pretty soon. But Tom, I'll ask you, the dynamic in this clubhouse, it's been a good clubhouse for the last couple of years. Now you got another year under Prince Fielder and Ryan Braun. They're kind of the main guys. Ricky Weeks is going to be back. Ricky Weeks, everybody forgets how well he was playing. And when I look at Mike Cameron as a loss, that it's going to be hard to replace his production. But then I think to myself, well, Ricky Weeks might play a whole season, and Casey McGee might have a whole season, and then Greg Zone might hit more than Jason Kendall, and the argument can be made that there are a lot of guys that could hit more than Jason Kendall. Love him to death, but will this team be in the same league it was offensively with the changes?
Well, there's a lot of things that have to fall in place. Will Carlos Gomez realize his potential? The guy's like one of the fastest guys in the league, and all he has to do is hit the ball on the ground, and he's going to bat 300. I was shocked in BA, I think, in Texas, when Escobar hit the ball on the ground last year. They had to get it and throw it right away, and it was bang bang every time on routine grounds. And he's breaking from the right side of the box. So speed makes you do different things on defense, makes you rush stuff. And so they might be a little bit different of an offense too. That I think they have the ability now to create some runs. Ricky Weeks is a good base runner too. We forget about him. And I think Michael will adjust to now the team changing it. But they lost some power, but they picked up a lot of speed. So do they need a lot of things to go right? Of course, every team does. But they've positioned themselves to win by improving their pitching. To get pitching, they had to trim some payroll elsewhere. People just think they have $145 million payroll. The Cubs do, and if you gave Doug Melvin $60 million more, I think he'd kick the Cubs' butt just about every time they faced off.
Now see Jack Zarinsek in Seattle. There's plenty of budget going there. He's doing great with it.
And exactly, when you have money, you can make stupid mistakes. When you don't have money, you can. And so, Sal Bano, as criticized as he was when he was here, he had that favorite saying that he told Drew and I. He said, having money doesn't guarantee that you'll win, but not having money almost guarantees that you'll lose.
That's right. Which is pretty much true. Now, Dan, as you look at these gentlemen, these fine baseball guys that we have here, the on-deck thing is coming up. The Packers are done. Brett Favre's still dominating the landscape for another week or two.
You're still talking about Brett Favre?
You think, Dan? You think will this be a year where there's interest in the Brewers flames up quicker than usual? A lot of times it's okay, once the NCAA tournament, the high school tournament's over, then we'll, the first day of camp, it's like that rush to get the pictures on TV of the green grass and everybody. It's oh, can't wait, and then it goes away for a while. Then it cranks up after March.
Well, let's face it, the Packers got done. And normally you would just focus on basketball, but the Bucks had a losing record. Marquette's probably not going to the NCAA tournament. Wisconsin probably will, but that's about it. Mm-hmm. And people are already talking about Brewers, and it's still a month away. So I think more so than the 2008 season. The Packers season went so long, all of a sudden spring training was here, right after the Packers season ended. I think there's more of a walk up to it. And the timing of getting Doug Davis now, It seems like everything's been incrementally, nothing all at once, and it's given people more reason